Hi, this is Gary. Welcome to today's video. Well, today it's part 2, it's the last part of my unboxing of this package which I received from Pulp Addiction. Now last time we looked at this big box here that was full of inks and we swatched them and we looked at those inks. This time we're going to look at this bottom part, which is obviously a pen by the shape of it. So join me now down on the mat. Let's unpack this, let's look at the pen, let's explore it, we'll then fill it with ink and do a writing sample. And after that, I'll give you my first impressions of this pen. So here we are down on the mat. Now as you can see, here's a package. Obviously it's been opened because in a previous video we looked at the inks that were in this order. Now we're going to take a look at the last item. It's fairly small, you know, most of the bag was taken up by that box. So here we go, let's take this out. And what do we have? Let's get the scissors in. And let's open this up. Oh, this is going to be one of those packages which doesn't want to come open. I think we've got enough. And yeah, there we have it. So we've got a grey box and on there we've got the word Lamy. So as you can mostly guess, it's got to be a Lamy pen. The box itself, you know, Lamy.com, made in Germany, really plain. Lamy again there. And then looks like that's an address for Lamy. Now, you might be saying, Gary, that's just a plain box. Now, when I ordered this, I did have the option to order it with a gift box. But it's for me, it's not for a gift for someone. So let's save the environment. Let's not get packaging if we don't need it. It's one of the things I actually do like about Chinese pens is the packaging that most of them come in is very minimal. You know, we don't need a lot of packaging nowadays. So let's open this box. Let's get in there. Let's see what we've got. So in here we have a Lamy Safari. And this particular one, it's in charcoal black. To me, certainly under these lights, it looks a bit on the grey side. There's a bit of stuff in there, but that comes off with my finger. You know, it's grey. It's also got hints of brown in it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Then here we've got the barcode, which should hopefully just pull off. Pop that to one side to look at later to see if I need to keep it. So let's take a look at this pen. We'll start off here with the top. It's just a nice flat top. And on it we've got, well, to me, it looks like a bit of a cross there with a hole in the middle. We'll come down. We've got then a plastic cap, which is the same width all the way down. Then we've got this metal clip. The clip, lovely and springy, really nice and easy to use. We've got here a little cardboard separator. Now that cardboard separator, will come off shortly when I open the pen. Then down into the body. So the body it's circular here, but then we've got a flat side here where we've got Lamy and a window where we can see the ink. And on the other side, again, we've got that flat section there and the ink window again. That all then leads me to the top of the pen. And here we have just again, it's like a recessed end with a cutout around it. Very minimalistic look, but that's fine. I didn't buy the pen for its looks. I buy it because I want to use it to write with. So let's take off the cap. So we go. That's one turn. And it's not the cap that's come off, it's the body, which has revealed this Lamy cartridge. Now, I'm not going to be using the cartridge, but it's nice to know that there's ink there that you can use. This is plastic, the body's plastic, but there's holes there. It's certainly not a pen you could eyedropper. So let me just put that back in. The cap then, oh, it pulls off. That's a shame. I'd have loved if it was one that would turn off, but never mind. So we take off the cap. We reveal this black feed. Let's turn it around. let's take a look at the nib. So the nib, it's a black colour, so it matches the rest of the pen really. You know, by black, well, it's a really deep grey. It's charcoal grey, which is where a lot of this colour comes from. I ordered this in a broad nib. I've never had a Lamy Safari before, so I don't know what they're like, but one of the things I've been getting into is broad nibs, so I thought, you know, this is the first Safari I'm having, so let's try it with that broad nib. We come then into this here. Now this is a plastic section. The whole pen is plastic. Now what's been putting me off getting a Lamy Safari in the past is here. It's this section, because I don't know how comfy that's going to be for the way I hold the pen. I'll know better when I start writing with it. The aim is, I believe, it's to try and force your fingers into a certain way of holding the pen. I'm not sure at the moment. I can understand where they're going. I don't know if it's comfortable for me at the moment, and I won't know until I've had a chance to do quite a bit of writing. The section, as I say, it's got a nice length to it. And then it's got these cutouts round underneath, so nice and round on the back side of it. Then back to these cutouts again. We've got a little O-ring, and that's going to seal here. So yeah, that's all right. We can see where that's coming from. We've had this back end off already. The whole pen is made of plastic. Click that back on. Not too bad. As I say, it's my first Lamy Safari, so I wasn't 100% certain with what I'm getting. Now, as I said, I'm not going to be using the ink cartridge. What I've got to go with this is a converter. I'm now going to step away from the computer. I'm going to go and clean out this pen and clean out the converter. When I come back, we'll take a look at the ink I'm going to be using. We'll fill the pen and then we'll do a writing sample. So here I am back. So I'm glad I cleaned that out. When I went to clean through the nib, there was a whole load of blue ink in it. So I'm guessing that it was actually tested in the factory to make sure it writes, which I think is a really good idea. But if I hadn't have cleaned it out and I'd have just done a straight fill, well, the ink I've chosen would have looked really weird because that blue would have definitely affected it. But it's one of the things, one of the reasons I'm doing this is so we learn this. So let me pop this up to the top and we'll fetch in the swatch for the ink. So the ink I'm going to use is a Lamy ink. Now obviously with it being a Lamy pen, I did order a number of Lamy ink samples to try. This is part of the Crystal collection and it's Lamy Agate or Agate. Chose this because I thought, well, I knew the pen was a charcoal grey, so I knew it was going to be that grey type colour. So I thought, well, this would be a really nice one to try in it. It's a fairly pale ink, so I'm hoping the broad nib in the pen will really fetch out the character of this and that we'll actually be able to see it look nice. I've tried a number of other pale grey inks in my other pens, but most of those have really got fine or extra fine nibs. And the grey, it looks awful. It's a really bad experience with them. So this is where I'm hoping with this pale grey and the broad nib, we'll get some really lovely results. So let's fill it up. Now, what I ordered was a sample. So I'll fetch in my sample holder. I'll drop in the sample there. So at the moment, the pen is empty. Let's pop in the converter, make sure it goes down and up. Okay, in goes the pen, up comes the plunger, down goes the plunger, and up we come again. Well, that is a woeful fill. So because I've got a sample, and it's only a small sample, I don't think that it's actually getting down to the filling hole. So let me take this out and let's try again. Let's tip it on one side. So we go down. Let's come back up again. Now we're still getting really a woeful sample. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to get my syringe and we'll fill it with the syringe. So here we go with my blunt nose syringe. So let's pop that in there and let's draw a bit of ink. That should be enough. So now what I'm going to do is spill ink all over the place. Let me just take out this converter. Make sure the converter is right the way down the bottom. That plunger. And slowly, there we go. Let's get rid of the excess ink. Pop the pen back in. Make sure it's a nice tight fit. And we'll put the pen back together. Now I'll just leave this up at the top whilst I clean up, and also to allow that ink to have the time to soak through and get into the nib. Okay, so here I am back. So the pen is being inked up. I've cleaned off the mat where I'd spilt some drops. So now it's time to look at the writing sample, because at the end of the day, why do we buy a pen? Well, we buy it to write with. So let's see, how does this Lamy Safari write? As always, when I'm doing my writing tests, I'm going to be using this. This is a Oxford notepad, and it uses the optic paper. The optic paper, really nice bright white, and a really fountain pen friendly paper. So let's have a go at writing. First thing I'm finding, I'm struggling to get my fingers in the right place. So what do we have? We've got a Lamy Safari. This is a broad nib. The ink is Lamy Agate. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm not sure at the moment. As you can see, I'm trying to use the guides that they've got there. It's not too bad. I think it's livable. One of the things I'm noticing, the pen is very light. It hardly feels like it's in my hand at the moment. I know it's because it's plastic. Let's try posting it, see if that helps. So yes, it posts. You know, that's nice and secure. It does add a little bit of weight. So let's see how I go with my writing with that little bit of weight. So we're going to look at our wetness. So this is immediate. You know, it's not too bad. Fairly wet. Going to wait for 10 seconds. You know, that's dried off already quite a lot. Now we're going to wait for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, we're mostly dry. We've still got some little bits of grey coming off. I'm going to leave it now for 1 minute. After a minute, yeah, look at that. That's nice and dry now. So for the next writing sample, I'm going to move the microphone down to the paper so you can hear the nib write. That's not too bad. You know, it's not overly smooth. You know, you can certainly feel it. But saying that, it's not dragging on the page. You know, it's one of the nice pens to write with. You know, it's not too bad. It's just very light. Let's try this where I just literally rest it in my hand and let the pen drag across the paper. You know, we are getting a line there. Because it's light, you know, the pen's going all over the shop. But yeah, we are getting something. So you don't need a lot of pressure to write, although saying that, you know, we are getting some places where it's just not working. So what are my first impressions of this pen? I've got to be honest, I don't like it. You know, I'm glad I've tried it, but I find the pen is very light, and that's because it's plastic. It feels cheap, but again, I think that's because it's made of plastic. The nib is nice, I like the nib, and I might try to put that onto some other pens that I have, which take a similar nib. With the ink, I'm glad I put it in a broad pen, because anything less than that, I don't think the ink would look at all nice. I mean, yes, we're getting something nice here. Not a lot of shading coming through though. We get little bits, but nowhere near as much as I get with a lot of my other pens. The pen itself was 37 Australian dollars, so it's a fairly reasonably priced pen. I think if you're starting out in fountain pens, yeah, I think it might be a good beginner's pen. My preference though, I got the Pilot Metropolitan first, and I think I prefer that to this. What do I think? As I say, I don't like it. I was looking at the special editions. I'm not going to get them now. Really, really not impressed by this pen. I'm glad I've tried it though, because you don't know until you try it. Now, what I will say, and I want to give it the benefit of the doubt, I will be using this over the next few weeks. It's actually planned to go in my pens for April. So I'm going to try using it, because it could be that my first impression is not my long-term impression. You've got to remember, people change, you know, we change the way we hold our pens, and by using it in the long term, that's how we get to know what the pen's capable of. But as things stand, yeah, my first impression of this is, yeah, it's a fountain pen. Yeah, it writes, but it's not one of the ones I would say I would jump out of bed to start using. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Have you got a Lamy Safari? If you have, why not drop a comment below what are your thoughts on it? If you don't have one, I'd love to get your thoughts. What's holding you back from pulling the trigger and buying a Lamy Safari? How about inks? What inks do you think it might be worth me trying in this pen? Again, as I say, drop that comment below. Let's kickstart the conversation. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button. The more people that like the videos, the more people that comment on the videos, well, it helps the YouTube algorithm to surface the content for other people. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.